This is a response to an accounted audio video on Benatarian value. You're really responding there, or speaking in the light of Shock of God's video about Benatarian value being to do with agency, and how agency is necessarily a positive value. I'm not sure that's got any legs, to be honest with you. It seems to me that what's playing out there is this idea of agency. Well, in that metaphor, it seems to me that agency is essentially like a kind of medium, on which positive and negative values can be ascribed. Personally, I don't see a strong argument for agency itself being good. Because if I was an antinatalist, I would respond by saying, well, you just take away the agency, you're not really depriving anybody of anything. And I don't think there's a strong argument to be made against that. I think there's a much stronger argument to be made looking more closely at the details of the Benatarian asymmetry, and particularly the terminology he uses, because there's a lot of very kind of weighty and implicit ideas embedded in the language of that. So, for example, he uses some terms. Well, he uses a lot of terms. He uses pleasure and pain. He uses positive and negative. Particularly, he uses harm and benefit, and he uses absence and presence. Presence of harm, absence of harm, presence of benefit, absence of benefit. And this really shows up in the asymmetry argument, and it is the crux of the asymmetry. So if I can just kind of summarize that as I understand it at least, what he's basically saying in the asymmetry is that on the one hand you have this idea of presence and absence of harm, that the presence of harm is bad, absence of harm is good, whereas he says in terms of benefit, which is the thing you would set against that, the presence of benefit is good, he says, but the absence of benefit is not good. It doesn't say it's bad, he says it's just not good. Well, that's the implication of it at least. So whilst on the one hand you have good and bad, on this side you simply have good and not good. So there's clearly an imbalance there. And it's that imbalance which really underpins the kind of logic, the mathematics, if you like, of the asymmetry. But you can change that, I think, very simply. It seems to me, maybe I'm just missing something, just by deploying those terms in other ways. So, for example, if you were to repurpose some of those terms, you could just say that on the one hand, you have the presence of harm is bad, the absence of harm is, instead of saying good, you could just say not bad. Yes? Presence of harm bad, absence of harm not good, not bad, sorry. And then on the other hand, in terms of benefits, presence of benefits good, absence of benefits not good. And then there is no asymmetry. The asymmetry cancels out. Or you could do, apply good and bad. But either way, it seems to me that something like that is a much simpler way of attacking Benatar, using the terms that he himself is setting up, rather than trying to bring agency in and then arguing whether agency itself is a positive or a negative, or can be considered a benefit or a harm. Yeah, I don't know if that makes any sense. I hope so. Thank you.